TV5.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. I'm Charles Kuralt, sitting in for Dan Rather. Forecasters say there's an 80% chance of rain tonight and tomorrow in Mississippi and Louisiana. As David Dick reports, that's not what people there need.
Louisiana's Governor Dave Treen toured by helicopter the flooded areas of the state, from Alexandria to Monroe to Natchitoches to Lake Charles, areas largely inundated, homes surrounded, roads cut off, fields covered by water most of this week.
A lot of the streams and a lot of the areas that hold water are very high. So the problem is, what happens if more water comes in? Where's it going to go?
There is mounting concern that runoff from the current snowstorms in the upper Mississippi Valley will tip the balance downstream in Louisiana with awesome consequences. Veteran Louisiana meteorologist Nash Roberts.
If we keep these high river stages now until that snow starts to melt, then we have a real critical problem. We could have the worst flood we've ever had if those two things come together.
At Lake Charles, Louisiana, barges loaded with limestone, which yesterday were torn loose from their moorings by the high, swift waters of the Calcasieu River, are stalled in midstream. One railway trestle is already destroyed, a second is badly damaged, and salvage operations have yet to begin. Meantime, Amtrak passengers headed for New Orleans had to leave their train in Beaumont for transfer onto a bus to cross the river. R.L. Lacaze is a man who knows something about floods, but he didn't read about it in a book. He's lived it all of his life, right here in Louisiana.
We just got to take it. I mean, it don't upset me a bit in the world. I just stay until it's all gone. I think we're in pretty good shape now. I don't think it'd come back, unless something breaks or Red River start backing up on us.
R.L. Lacaze may be surrounded by water, turkeys on the shed roof, chickens in the trees, but there's a fire in his fireplace. He's got his clan of 12 children around him, and they don't frighten easily. David Dick, CBS News, near Cypress, Louisiana.
Miami was quiet today. The fatal shooting of a young black man by a policeman on Tuesday touched off a wave of violence. But a police spokesman said today it's all quiet. It's wonderful. Eric Engberg reports, however, that now there's anger outside the black neighborhoods, anger in the civic establishment.
This is how Miami wants to be viewed by the rest of the world. The idyllic tropical vacation land. That postcard image is worth several $billion in tourist business each year. Tarnish to the image brought by news coverage of this week's disturbances has left civic leaders annoyed at the national press.
I've got to ask you this question. If this had occurred in Buffalo or Cincinnati, would CBS or NBC have given them 8 or 7 minutes?
Miami has starred in the past 2 years in media accounts of crime, the drug trade, and racial turmoil, which one local newsman notes is only part of the full story.
We've accommodated over 500,000 Cubans in the last 20 years, 100,000 Mariel refugees in the last 2 years, 40,000 Haitians. We've done all this locally without help from anybody else in the country, by and large. There's a story there.
To counteract negative publicity, Miami launched an advertising campaign, complete with a theme song. It rebuilt some of its old hotels. It promoted. A convention of travel agents here was viewed as so important to Miami's $7 billion tourist industry, police were told to hustle unsightly drunks out of the way. The Orange Bowl, a showy festival as well as a football game, has become through the years the main way Miami shows its best face to the nation and encourages tourism. Those who run it believe they've been blindsided by reporting of this week's violence.
Headlines say Miami is in flames, riots are running loose in Miami, and all of these things, which is totally inaccurate.
But the mayor admits that abuse of authority by police in Miami's black neighborhoods is not a media invention.
I think there's a certain amount of reality in that, and I think we've just got to face it. I mean, this is a police department. It's not a military operation.
With peace restored, preparations for Miami's Showcase weekend moved ahead at full speed, and the city's tourism boosters hoped that the Orange Bowl, not Overtown, would provide the images of Miami this week that would linger in the nation's mind. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Miami.
Stay right where you are, folks. You may be the winner of $1 million. This is Ed McMahon. I urge you to watch your mail for $1 million message from me. Look for the envelope with my name and your name on it from American Family Publishers. If you receive this envelope, you may already be the winner of $1 million. I will personally award this giant prize. So look for your $1 million envelope this week. Be sure it's from American Family Publishers. It could make you a millionaire.
Bob, we've got rats! Thank goodness a neighbor told us about Decon Rat Killer, the clean way to kill dirty rats. Rat traps are scary and messy, and exterminators can mess up your budget. Decon bait is inexpensive, clean, and sure. Rats just eat themselves to death. No wonder Decon is the #1 rat killer in homes all over America. Decon is the clean way to kill dirty rats and mice.
The first 2 rounds of the talks between Israel and Lebanon on troop withdrawals haven't even produced an agreement on what to talk about. And a Lebanese official said today that one reason is the perceived role of the United States in the talks. He said Lebanon considers U.S. Envoy Morris Draper a full-fledged participant, while Israel sees him as only a kind of observer. Israel acknowledged this difference of views, but said it wasn't a serious issue. President Reagan in Palm Springs, California, took care of business before pleasure, a New Year's Eve party he will attend tonight at the home of former diplomat Walter Annenberg. Bill Plant reports.
Secretary of State George Shultz arrived in Palm Springs to join President Reagan and several other members of the cabinet for tonight's celebration. But first, an afternoon briefing by Shultz for Mr. Reagan to survey foreign policy issues in the coming year. On the Mideast, sources said the secretary had nothing new to report on the Lebanese-Israeli negotiations. Calming the situation there is a top administration priority for the new year. Arms control, some hope for progress in 1983. Administration officials are encouraged by continuing communications with the Soviets on all levels, but they caution against expecting too much too soon. All in all, say his top aides, Mr. Reagan has become more comfortable dealing with foreign policy. Primarily, they say, because he is much more comfortable with Shultz than with former Secretary Haig, who aides viewed as competing with the president. Nevertheless, Mr. Reagan is not now expected to make any foreign trips in 1983 because his biggest problems are at home. The economy will continue to be the president's main concern in the new year, with unemployment rates expected to remain high and only a weak recovery projected by many economists. Unless there is a major breakthrough or upset in foreign affairs, it is the economy that will probably shape the politics of 1983. Relations with the new Congress are likely to be difficult. And by late spring or early summer, Mr. Reagan must decide whether he wants to run again. Not even those closest to him know yet which way he'll go, but either way, 1983 will be a turning point in the Reagan presidency. Bill Plant, CBS News, with the president in Palm Springs.
Democratic leaders of the House decided today on the #1 bill in the new Congress convening on Monday. H.R. 1 will be the reintroduction of the Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution.
Professor, what's that cereal you're enjoying?
Ah, yes, the dates, the raisins, the walnuts, fruit, and... it escapes me.
Post Fruit and Fiber cereal. It tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
The name, good question. It contains delicious fruit. It's fruit and... I forget.
Fruit and Fiber tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
It's fruit and... fruit.
Fruit and Fiber, also with apples and cinnamon. It tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
What kind of people drink Sanka brand? People like Virginia Buckman, horse trainer.
Horses can sense if you're nervous. That's why I have to stay in control. So I really look forward to relaxing with a cup of Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee. A cup of Sanka, please.
As usual.
That's good. And it's 97% caffeine-free, so it's perfect for me anytime, anywhere.
Sanka brand, for people who love coffee but not caffeine.
For about 2 million Americans, the hope of 1983 is focused on the next few days when they will learn whether President Reagan will sign or veto a certain bill. Linda Douglas reports that it's not only a matter of law for them, but also a matter of life and death.
When Adam Seligman plays the drums, he concentrates so hard the symptoms of his disease seem to disappear. But most of the time, Adam's body is tortured by violent tics and involuntary spitting, effects of a rare neurological disorder called Tourette syndrome.
I have a lot of days where I just don't want to get out of bed.
4-year-old Brian Smith suffers from something entirely different, cystinosis, an obscure kidney disorder that kills most of its victims by the age of 10. What Brian and Adam have in common is a tragic predicament. They are among more than 2 million Americans who suffer from so-called orphan diseases, disorders so rare that drug companies don't spend the time or money developing a cure because there's no hope of profit. During a lame duck session of Congress, both houses unanimously approved a bill which would give tax credits to drug companies that put orphan drugs on the market. It was a ray of hope for the parents of Brian Smith.
We've really been waiting and hoping for something like this to be done so that we can really start hoping again.
But supporters of the measure have told CBS News the president may pocket veto the bill, letting it die unsigned, because it contains an unrelated amendment calling for a study of the relationship between radiation and cancer. That amendment was sponsored by Reagan ally Senator Orrin Hatch, whose home state of Utah was exposed to atomic blasts in the 50s. Some fallout victims are already suing the government. The radiation study could give future plaintiffs ammunition in court.
These people never really were warned. There was negligence. There were all kinds of difficulties. I think there's been a tremendous injustice. I think the federal government owes it to these people and to everybody in this country to make these tests and, of course, to do this study. Because if they'll do these studies, I think you'll find that we may be able to get down to what really are the problems involved in radiation on the human being.
Congressman Henry Waxman, author of the orphan drug bill, says a veto might snuff out the hopes of thousands with orphan diseases.
They can expect that the pharmaceutical industry, for the most part, will take the same approach they've taken in the past, and that's to ignore the problem that these people have who are suffering from the rare diseases.
The plight of orphan disease victims has captured many hearts, even Hollywood's, where TV's fictional coroner Quincy featured real patients in an episode about the need for legislation. For them and Adam Seligman, who for 2 years has crusaded for the bill, a defeat would be hard to accept.
There's got to be something to get you through the day when getting through the day is hard. And right now, hope is what does it.
For many sufferers of orphan diseases, discovery of the right drug might mean living a normal life. For Brian Smith, it might mean life itself. Supporters say if the drug bill fails, they'll keep fighting until it passes. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Los Angeles.
UNICEF has put out its annual report on the state of the world's children, and it contains a staggering, tragic statistic. According to all the available data, 42,000 children died every single day of this year in underdeveloped parts of the world, places where good water, medical care, and sanitation are almost unheard of. The estimate is said to be a conservative one.
They'll be out.
Not with that congested cough. You look drained.
I feel drained.
Take Formula 44D. You'll feel like your congested cough is being drained away.
Sure.
It's the only leading formula strong enough to relieve your cough and congestion.
It does have a strong cough suppressant.
And 2 decongestants. Well?
Thanks to Formula 44D.
Your day didn't go down the drain.
Vicks Formula 44D drains your congested cough so it won't drain you.
Is that the new Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes you just got?
Mm-hmm.
How come you haven't sent it in?
I've got more important things to do.
That's what I used to think.
They don't really give away all those prizes.
That's what I used to think.
You'd have to be a fool to think you'd win.
That's what I used to think.
You know that new Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes you just got? What's your reason for not sending it in? Lots of Clearinghouse winners used to think that too. Come on, send it in.
The stock market closed out the year quietly today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down a little, but not much. The irony is that if you had money to invest during this terrible recession year, you could have made a killing. The Dow climbed 171.54 points in 1982. It closed at a record high just 2 days after Christmas, 1,070.55. And trading set another record in 1982, 16,458,036,768 shares. If you had money to invest, 1982 was a very good year. The stock market aside, the continuing recession made this a tough year for the economy, but things should get better in 1983, according to the Commerce Department's 588-page report, the U.S. Industrial Outlook, which was released today. Bob Simon looks at the industries expected to turn around or turn down, most of them, one way or another, affecting most of us.
It's not just another government publication, it's a work of pure astrology, predicting the future, pointing the way to the bright stars of American industry. If your sign is computer or robot, you're hitched to the brightest stars of all. You didn't need the Commerce Department to tell you that. But rising right behind you, there's an obscure star, America's #2 growth industry.
One of the great growth industries in the United States is, guess what? Wood skids and pallets.
The Dean of American Economists, John Kenneth Galbraith.
Do you know what they're used for?
No idea.
Neither do I.
Pallets and skids carry things, that's what they do. And they're looking good because the Commerce Department predicts more goods will be moving in 1983.
So I think there have been a number of favorable straws in the wind.
Well, the straw they're talking about is defense spending. The Commerce crystal ball sees Ronald Reagan's military buildup as the brightest light in the industrial galaxy. But dark days ahead for terrestrial travel. Cars are going nowhere, shipbuilding is sinking, the aircraft industry is grounded. Even luggage is down. So are shoes, the leather kind. But sneakers are sprinting ahead, in step perhaps with America's highest devotion to health. The medical industries are right up there with the military in the galaxy of winners. One might assume that cigarettes are finally taking a beating, right?
All the medical scares and all the reports never stop them from smoking. The sale of cigarettes goes up and up and up.
Other smokables and sniffables, marijuana and cocaine, other playmates, beer, wine, and brandy are doing well. So are pickles, singled out by Commerce as one particular wave of the future. Cookies are hot, but the poor ice cream cone, that symbol of traditional America, is on the skids. There's a certain domestic flavor to many most promising industries of the future. Greeting cards are up as Americans write fewer letters. People seem to be staying home more, satisfying their red-blooded American craving for adventure with computers and electronic toys. So this is where the frontier ends, at home, armed with slippers, cigarettes, Chablis, and cookies, ready for an evening of television or Pac-Man. Welcome to 1983, America. Welcome home. Bob Simon, CBS News, New York.
There are some New Year's resolutions that have been decided for us, such as the cost of phoning and fuming. You can ring in the new year with a phone call, but at midnight, the federal tax will triple to 3%. And the cost of a smoker's cough will rise as the federal tax on a pack of cigarettes goes from 8 cents to 16 cents at midnight. There are all those income tax changes too, but you don't really want to hear about all those now. Suffice it to say that if you were lucky enough to earn enough to stop paying Social Security taxes for part of 1982, next week's paycheck will have that Social Security bite back in it. But it still won't be enough to ensure that Social Security will be able to meet all its obligations to beneficiaries in 1983.
Hey, Jerry.
What?
Instant Quaker oatmeal comes in flavors so good. You know what we're gonna do?
I don't know. What?
We're gonna make a hot cereal lover out of you.
Out of me?
I'd feel better if he ate a hot cereal.
Well, we've got honey and graham,
Honey and graham.
Raisins and spice. Likes raisins.
maple and brown sugar, and everything nice. We're gonna make a hot cereal lover out of you with Instant Quaker oatmeal.
You did it.
Finally, after years of development, the makers of Neosynephrine are proud to give you even longer-lasting relief for your stuffy nose. Incredible Neosynephrine 12-Hour. Absolutely nothing you can buy is stronger or lasts longer than Neosynephrine 12-Hour. It lets you breathe freely all day. Get Neo-Synephrine 12 Hour. Nothing is stronger. Nothing lasts longer.
You mean you have an Atari video game system, but not Atari Missile Command? Well, then you must have Defender. What about Star Raiders? Or Yar's Revenge? You gotta have Berserk, right? And Atari Space Invaders, a classic. You don't? An Atari system without those games? That's like having a stereo with no hit records.
This is where evening news programs are supposed to review the year gone by. It's easy to resist the temptation, and we think we will. On balance, as usual, for another year, human beings made a mess of things. Why remember it? Better to summon up a little hope, take a deep breath, and start over. It is New Year's Eve in Rome, and the Pope, to whom 1982 gave more than enough of pain, both personal and spiritual, took a deep breath and said serenely that good will triumph over evil, and life will triumph over death.
With this vision of Christian hope that we begin the year 1983. May you have a peaceful and happy New Year.
We asked the leaders of all the important nations of the world to speak to you of their hopes for the new year. Understandably, some of them, like Hosni Mubarak of Egypt, are lost among the enormous problems of their own countries. But almost all spoke as he did when asked about their hopes for the world.
To live in peace and prosperity.
The Republic of South Africa is prepared to conclude non-aggression pacts with all its neighbors.
Even intransigent old Peter Willem Botha, the Prime Minister of South Africa, sounded conciliatory and hopeful when we asked him to speak of the new year. Even Garrett Fitzgerald did, who must face in 1983 the agony of Ireland.
The new Irish government intends during its 5 years in office to lead the Irish people away from division and to seek a breakthrough in the tragic political situation in Northern Ireland. To achieve this, we shall need this support of all the people of this island, the cooperation of the British government, and the sympathy and aid of our friends abroad, especially you in the United States, to whom I wish well for the new year.
It is New Year's Eve in Ottawa. The closest friends of the United States, we found, are afraid for the United States and for themselves, and nuclear weapons are the source of the fear. Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada thought he saw in the nuclear freeze movement of 1982 a hope for the future.
Even if it is limited to the countries of the free world, this new expression of the vigilance of the people cannot help but inspire wisdom and moderation among those who hold the power of life and death over our planet.
Yes, agreed the President of Mexico, what the world needs is peace. And, said Miguel de la Madrid, from the capital of a poor country, a common effort to overcome poverty. But above all, peace.
De parte del pueblo mexicano,
on behalf of the Mexican people and in my own name, I wish all humanity peace, prosperity, and goodwill.
In Japan, we say that the course of a year is set on New Year's Day.
Prime Minister Yasuhiro Nakasone of Japan.
Above all, I want to share for the creation of a society where people's hearts are in harmony, a society of love.
It is New Year's Eve in Paris.
Les deux superpuissances
François Mitterrand warned against the superpowers overarming themselves. It is New Year's Eve in London. Prime Minister Thatcher spoke briskly of practical objectives.
I think if we do those things, defense is sure, run our financial affairs in a sound way, keep alive the habit of enterprise, because it's the creative people, you know, who produce the jobs for the rest of us, and stick by our friends.
It is New Year's Eve in Rome. President Pertini spoke hopefully of peace and of compassion.
Sia consolidata la pace nel mondo.
Para el año 1983,
it is New Year's Eve in Spain, and the young, eager Prime Minister González spoke of peace.
Siegel der deutsch-amerikanischen Freundschaft.
It is New Year's Eve in Germany, and the old Pro-Chancellor Kohl spoke of peace. It is New Year's Eve in Moscow. The General Secretary of the Soviet Communist Party said he would like to convey sincere wishes of well-being and happiness to each American family. He said Soviet people and Americans nowadays have one common enemy, the threat of war, and everything that intensifies that threat. Yuri Andropov also spoke of peace. It is New Year's Eve in Washington.
There's an old English proverb that says, if it were not for hope, the heart would break. So yes, of course, I have hopes for 1983. They're the same hopes that every president since George Washington has had. Peace and prosperity for all our people. I hope in the coming year that we'll be able to put every American into a solid and permanent job. That's not only a hope, that's my prayer. I hope there'll be a larger peace throughout the world, and that we will make progress in our arms control talks with the Soviet Union and finally begin the reduction of the tremendous arsenals of nuclear weapons that threaten all of us. And I hope the peoples of the Middle East will finally find an end to their long heartache. Lastly, I hope that in 1983, every American, indeed every human being, will fulfill the promise and peace that is within each one of us.
They all spoke of peace, every one of them, in every capital of the world.
New Year.
After so long a time, journalists, by reflex, become deaf to the statements of statesmen on ceremonial occasions. But this is the night for summoning up a little hope. Listening to all the statements of presidents and prime ministers as they came into our newsroom today, we couldn't help thinking, what if they all meant it? Happy New Year, then, to us all. Dan Rather will be back to start 1983 with you on Monday. I'm Charles Kuralt. Good night.
Wrap the gift yet?
No, my arthritis is acting up and I'm out of aspirin.
Oh, take my Bufferin. Plain aspirin's smart, but it can upset your stomach. Taking Bufferin for minor arthritis pain is smarter. Some stomachs can be delicate, like fine china, and plain aspirin can upset them. Bufferin has aspirin doctors recommend most for hours of relief, plus special buffers that help protect against stomach upset.
How do you feel now?
A lot smarter.
Bufferin is smarter for arthritis, also in extra strength.
Dobson! This could be one of the world's most valuable stamps, worth perhaps $500,000.
Publishers Clearinghouse introduces the double prize stamp. It's here in your sweepstakes mailing, and it can double the value of any prize you win. Even our super prize doubles.
We merely paste it here on our entry and relax, Dobson. This stamp you have to part with to collect.
Look for the double prize stamp in your Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. We want to make you a winner.
Tonight, ring in the new year with a galaxy of stars. Coast to coast, it's the hottest party of the year. CBS, Happy New Year, America.
This is CBS.
Traffic deaths are down in Nashville, and police geared up for New Year's Eve in hopes of continuing that trend. That story and more next on Eyewitness News.
What a way to spend the first day of 1983.
12 big hours of savings from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. at all 4 Ray-Bat stores.
Middle Tennesseans have this country's highest standards when keeping up their cars. At J.B. Cook, we've built our reputation around being the absolute best. From qualified counter people to fast, efficient deliveries to the best products your money can buy.
Like Loctite products, Pizzazz Vinyl Protectant, Duro White Knight, Duro Auto Rust Proofing, Permatex Disc Brake Quiet, Permatex Car